In my last Cities Skylines video, I used Google's Bard AI to build this beautiful radial city. We basically told Bard, build us a utopia. Build us the best city you possibly can, and this is what it came up with. And while it has its flaws, it's not actually that bad. Most of the reasons for this city not being completely filled out are user error. So in today's video, we're going to take an alternative tool, ChatGPT, and see if it can do a better or worse job than Google Bard at building cities. So here I am with ChatGPT in front of me. If you haven't watched my other video where I made Google Bard do this, we're basically going to ask it all these questions about how should we build this city, what shape should it be, what kind of roads should it have, where should we put stuff, and then I am going to implement the design that ChatGPT gives us. So first, for an extra layer of sophistication, I'm going to tell it to please speak like a very well-educated British man. Even though it's ChatGPT, so it can't have an accent, unfortunately. Perfect. Hopefully this does not, inhibit communication at all. So let's give it the prompt. So today I would like you to help me build a utopia. It's important that it knows it's supposed to be a utopia in Cities Skylines. Please begin by specifying, trying to type as fast as I can here, the overall shape and design of the city. And then we'll ask it more specific questions to see what does it actually want us to do. And we'll get this beautiful British accent going here. Oh boy. Let's see. Okay. Consider urban planning, aesthetics, functionality. A balanced and organic layout might be preferable, eschewing overly rigid. Okay, what? Okay. We have a thing here. A crescent or a semicircle. A semicircle is such an interesting, why would you do that? Expansive green spaces, public parks, and botanical gardens. Mixed use development so it wants to mix these districts, whereas Bard wanted to have them separate. Healthcare. Okay, tell me how. Let's be more specific here. What shape the city should be? How big should the roads be in the city? So we'll see. Again, this is one of the weird things that Bard did. Bard was like, I want dirt roads in the city. Okay, circular or semicircular. That is so interesting. I guess circular cities are just the way that the AI likes to build cities. I don't know. Okay, so let's have a look here. So the main arterial roads, these thoroughfares serve as the backbone of the city's transportation network. 4 to 6 lanes designed for higher speeds connect major districts and provide. Okay. Yes. Great. Okay. So I'll tell it, we are building a semicircular, just to be different than Bard. Semicircular city. Please tell me where to locate the residential and commercial roads. Okay, so we've asked it where to put the residential districts and the commercial districts. Similar to what Bard said, it wants to put the residential ones within the center and then the commercials on the outside of the arc. I'm going to also ask it where should we put the industrial districts, trash facilities, etc. There we go. Placement of industrial districts should be carefully considered. Okay, I know it should be carefully considered. It's also, interestingly, it has dropped the British accent. maybe it got oh no, he's getting confused. I better stop. Opposite side of the commercial districts. Okay, so interesting. We got a similar thing here. So it sounds like it wants to put the industrial on the outside of our semicircle. Um, away from residential areas, outskirts or the periphery, good transportation access. Okay. Where in our semicircular city should we put the arterial roads, the train stations, and any other transportation features? Because you never know if they want to have like a bus line, or maybe they want a cruise port. For example, Google Bard put a cruise port, or wanted to put a cruise port, right next to the elder care facility, which I thought was brilliant personally. Let's see here. What do we got going on? Okay, positioned to provide optimal connectivity. Design them in a radial pattern, radiating outwards from the central area towards the outer edges of the semicircle. Okay, train stations should be strategically placed by residential and commercial. Bus terminals, tram stops, light rail stations. Where does it want to put this? Okay. Are there any final features? Final features you'd like to add? Let's give it one last chance here. And then I will go into Cities Skylines and do my best to implement what it has given us. Public spaces. Okay, so it wants parks, educational institutions, and it says to put them in proximity to residential areas. Healthcare, cultural, sustainable, blah, 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 smart city. Okay, Utopian semicircular city. Okay, well, with that, we're going to go into Cities Skylines, and we're going to see, did it do a good job of building Utopia, and more importantly, is this a better idea than Bard's Utopia? Okay, so here we are in Cities Skylines. This is the exact same or a very similar map to the one that Google Bard had to build on. And I've gone ahead and expanded our usable land area so we can build a nice big city here. I'm going to start with the arterial roads that ChatGPT told us to build. It said 4 to 6 lanes. I'm going to go for the 6 lane just to really be over the top about it. And what I'm thinking is it's said to have the connection points at strategic outward parts of the circle. So I'm going to build a semicircle like in this shape, I think, and we're going to see what happens. So I'm going to get right to that. So here is the road outline that I have decided on for this city. I took some creative liberties for sure, but I kept the overall semicircular design, and I went with the arterial. So the outer roads, the arteries as they're called, are 6 lanes, 2 ways. And then if we move one layer in, we have these 4-lane, 2-way roads. And those continue all the way to the center of the city, which is this roundabout, which has 6-lane roads. The connectors from the highway I built with, so this is a 1-way, 6 lanes. This is a 1-way, 6 lanes. I don't know if this is like optimized. I don't know if this is good. This intersection looks like a horrible way to conduct things. But we're not here to maximize those sort of things. We're just here to see what the heck happens with this city. And then for these roads that go radially outward from the center, I did a nice 2-lane, 2-way. Since it emphasized green space so much, I went for the roads with trees, which makes sense. Now we're going to start doing the districting. So it did say mixed use, but I am going to go by where it said residential mainly at the center, commercial mainly at the outskirts, and then industrial outside. So I will mix them more than I did in the previous city, but they'll still be somewhat separate. So here is our zoning map, and you can see I've gone a little bit more mixed than I did in the previous video on Google Bard. We do have the industrial periphery, 100%, and then we also have the commercial periphery, which I've just noticed I missed up here, so I'll add that. But then in the center, it's mostly residential, but I mixed in some commercial and office space because it did say to use some mixed-use buildings. I'm really curious how this shape is going to work out, and immediately, I'm not an expert at this game, but I do know as a real-life human being that having this many intersections is probably bad. but that's also my fault because I built it. So we're going to see what happens. Now I'm going to add public service buildings and trash facilities, and then we're going to press play and see what happens. Okay, so here we go. We got the public works buildings, we got the schools, we got all the health clinics. I added the elder care facility, the crematorium. I literally put the crematoriums at the end of the road, and the elder care is like far out here. So it's basically like you start at the center and work your way out as you get older. And then we have the incinerators peppered on the outside of the facility. So now I'm going to press the play button, record just the screen, and let you watch the city as it develops, and then we'll do a review and see how well does this compare to Bard's city. Okay, so I have let our ChatGPT city here develop for quite a while. I'm going to go ahead and pause this. I will note it's still growing pretty steadily. It's been growing at like plus 150 people pretty much for the past, like, I don't even know how long I've been running this. Many minutes, we'll say. We're going to take a look at this city and see what are the flaws, what does it do well, and what could we improve. So let's have a look at these info maps. The first thing I always like to look at is traffic, because traffic is the worst. So predictably, there is a big holdup here. Wow, look at all these, look at all those cars. That is not that surprising. Let's play here. Let's observe what's going on. Oh, okay, traffic. Okay, I see. They get held up actually here, not on this off-ramp situation. So that is pretty predictable. There's only one entry point into the city. Now I'm curious if I add one-ways off of the off-ramp here. Let's just do 4-lane. Let's not go crazy. How do I switch it to one-way? I always forget. There it is. One-way. Give me the one-way. Yeah, let's do this. I'm just going to build right through these buildings to these intersections. And then we'll do another one here. Ooh, it's going to sever the power line. There we go. Okay. We'll let it play a little longer, see if that alleviates that. So in terms of traffic, the actual city itself, not too shabby. We have lots of traffic flowing. You can see there are cars on the roads, but it seems like everyone is getting where they need to go. There's not really any holdups besides the center artery, which again, that makes sense. And I also, I didn't take any time to optimize these intersections or anything, so I'm sure with a little bit of work, you could make it a lot better. Also, interestingly, it seems like most people aren't really using, everyone is coming in through this center street. So maybe there's a way to improve that. I don't know. So that's traffic. Now let's look at garbage. Pretty well served. Doesn't look like we're having any issues. Yeah, I put the garbage plants on the outskirts. Plenty of access for the garbage trucks, so that's fine. Let's look at pollution. So again, we have our industrial districts on the edge. We have our commercial districts here. So this is a really good technique that works both in the game and I would imagine in real life. It isolates the residential areas from the industrial ones, which prevents the residential people from getting, bad pollution. So that seems to have worked out pretty well. In terms of noise, yeah, that's pretty bad. That's just one of the disadvantages of a city, I think. So we got lots of noise pollution going on in here. These are residential buildings, so that would kind of suck, but it's a city, so you get what you get. In terms of fire protection, could have done a better job with the industrial zones, it looks like. Not too bad. Crime, fine. We're good on crime. 3% is pretty darn good. Population, okay. Yeah, so it looks pretty evenly dispersed. You can see our population is still steadily increasing. Outside connections. Yeah, we got a couple imports here. Land value, of course the center is the highest value. This roundabout circle, this is the place to be where the rich and famous live. Natural resources we don't need. Districts, leisure. So I did add some parks here. Could have added more, but wanted space for people. That is something that ChatGPT told me to do. So, that's on me. And yeah, so it looks like that is a pretty good overview. We have some light tourism going on. Let's go back to traffic. Oh, it did actually improve the traffic a little bit. Okay, yeah, so in comparison to Bard City, I don't know. I would say this is roughly equivalent. There aren't any major differentiators to the actual, city itself besides the shape, really. The biggest thing is the semicircle versus the circle, and I'm going to go ahead and say the circle is better because it turns the city into a giant roundabout where people can filter into the outer circle and kind of just go where they need to go from there. This is good, but it seems like instead of people using this outer artery as an alternative route, they just bulldoze right through the center here and end up getting stuck, and we get this huge traffic jam right at this entry area. Whereas the circle, while it did have that, people dispersed much more quickly. Again, I could probably fix that if I cared. I'm not going to, at least not in this video. But yeah, really interesting to see what the AI's come up with. Really curious that it chose a semicircle. Let me know in the comments what you think, which city was better, Bardtopia or ChatGPT Topia, I guess. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.